So hey everybody, welcome to Weird Beard Auto Sales. Today on the channel we're going to get this Mustang dialed in, get all the body work done, and get it primed and blocked, ready to paint. I'm ready to get this thing painted, and we're going to get it done. So let's get started. Not bad, clear coat's peeling off, but we don't care about that. Got the grills in it, everything. Nothing's busted on it. It's got this little here, but we can smooth that up. That's typical from the hood prop, no big deal. Got the hinges with it. We need a hood latch also, so I'm gonna grab that next. We found our hood latch. And hey, check out this radiator support. It kind of looks like our old one used to. Look at all this bent in all the same places. Remember this? We can fix that, right? All right, everybody, we're back at the Weird Beard shop. We got our hood back. We are going to start putting this thing back together. Remember, we don't want to paint anything, and we don't want to do any actual filler work to these fenders until we're sure that all the gaps are going to line up. We want to make sure our header panel and our headlights are going to line up and all that. So that's part of rebuilding. We're going to have to build it, make sure everything lines up, take it back apart, and then that's when we could start edging in our parts, painting the underside of everything, and painting our radiator support and starting our filler work. So that's where we're at right now. So let's get started. All right, there's our first fit. As you can see, we're a little tight down there at the end, and look right here, no gap at all. So, all right, we got to open that up a little bit, either by pushing the fender out or maybe knocking the hood over this other way. We'll see. Let's come over here and see what we got. If you look over here, you'll see that we actually have a straight line running all the way down through there. Pretty consistent line, even all the way down. We're good back here. What we may do is bring that whole hood over this way just a hair, and then the rest of it we'll do by pushing the fender out, and then that'll open that gap up. And if this ends up too tight, we still got a lot of wiggle room. We can make this come out, the fender come out just a little bit if we need to. So that's where we're at. Not bad for the first try. I mean, everything's lining up pretty damn good. So we'll keep messing with it. We'll get it fine-tuned where all of our gaps are just right, and then we'll start body work. All right, so we got the latch and everything set up. Fenders are where they need to be. Hood's where it needs to be. Everything shuts really nice. Nice gaps on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and fit my header panel and my headlights, and after that, we can move on. There we go. She's done. All the gaps look pretty good. My hood gaps, my fender gaps, my everything. It's all lining up. It shuts really good. You don't even have to slam it or anything. It just clicks right down. I think that'll work. I think we got it where we could start our body work now. We can come in and do our filler. As you can see, it don't need much. We got that all out pretty nice. So we'll do our filler work there and on this side. And then over here, you'll see we still got our crack in our bumper, and we'll be repairing that as well. All right, here we are. We're going to start our fill. It's hard enough now, we're going to start sanding it with our 40 grit sandpaper. Then when you go in your crosshatch pattern, you want to go this way and then come back and go the opposite direction. Pretty easy, nothing to it. We'll work this down just a little bit more and then we'll switch directions. You switch directions and you go in like a crosshatch pattern. And you're getting the X. See all the X's? You want that on all this. All that does is it just makes it cut straighter, because if you just go in one direction the whole time, you'll end up with waves. So you want to cut across it. That gets the waves out. Pretty easy. I mean, anybody can do this, you guys. Just takes a little practice. We'll come through here and make sure it's all nice and straight. See how I'm starting to burn through? See that? That's metal starting to come back through. See over here? That just goes to show how thin this layer of filler is. And that's what we wanted. We wanted it thin. That's what you get when you take a little extra time to do your metal work. This is our glaze, really thin. Can you see that? Really thin. And it's basically, because we've already got our shape, so what we need is something to kind of come in and fill in all these really deep scratches from that 40 grit sandpaper. That's what this will do here. It's a really thin layer. You can almost see through it. It'll be so thin, but it'll be enough to fill in those scratches, and that's all we need. Like I said earlier, you can actually wipe this right over the paint. Not a big deal. Some guys argue with you on that, Trust me, these new fillers, that polyester in there, it sticks, man. Doing it this way for years. Watched countless other body men do it the same way. Never had an issue. Super thin, look at that. So you could actually see through it. Just keep wiping it on there. Wipe it one direction, then another. You're just working out all the air bubbles. That'll keep you from getting little tiny pinholes when you're done. And can you see how thin it is? Super thin, look at that. I look at it almost like just like a thick layer of primer. Almost, you know what I mean? I mean, it's super thin, but thick enough to fill in those really deep scratches. You wouldn't want to try to depend on your primer to fill in those 40 grit scratches. It'll shrink back later in the daylight when the heat hits it, and you'll actually see all those scratches. And nobody wants that. Working our glaze now. Same as before. You want to do your crosshatch, your 45 degree this way, then this way. Same as before. You can actually see where it's starting to kind of ghost out around the edges. That's exactly what you want. That is a perfect feather. You will not feel the transition. You will not see it later. Totally ready for prime. This is 80 grit. I'm going to continue to work this with the 80 grit till it's nice and smooth, and then I'll switch over to 120, go over it, one more final pass. At that point, it'll be ready for primer. All right, we're getting ready for our first coat of primer. Just going to come in here and back tape this edge. Just like that. Come back with your paper like that. Super easy. Kind of a thin coat at first. Just a little light coat of acid etch on all that bare metal. This is coat number 2. We could put it on a little heavier. All right, this is the 3rd coat and final coat. I think this will be plenty enough. We'll go back and block this after it sits overnight. All right, so we got a primer on it. We'll let it dry overnight. We're gonna come back and block it all down. We're gonna put our guide coat on first. Just like that. Just wanna dust a little bit on there. Nothing too crazy. See, when you roll your tape back on itself, you get a really nice soft edge instead of getting a hard tape line. That'll make it a lot easier to block back out. I've actually decided to go ahead and wet sand this, make it a lot quicker, less dust too. And it's got some 3M wet paper. Just going through here, sanding it, spray a little bit here, sand a little bit, just kind of keep spraying it as you go. And it keeps your sandpaper clean while you're sanding. And look, little by little, we're getting rid of all of the black, and the only thing left, that's where all of our sanding scratches are. Once all that's gone, all these little scratches, once all the black's gone and it looks like that, you're ready. All right, just about to get these fenders done. What I'm doing now is I just go in here and I wash the back side of these things out just to get all that loose dirt out of there. We don't want all that stuff flying around when we start spraying, so just want to get them nice and clean. You know, outside the garden hose would be great, but it is freezing cold outside right now, so we're just gonna do it like this. Should be fine. I already got my little 3-inch angle grinder here. Got an 80 grit disc on it. I'm just going inside of here and kind of roughing this up in here. If you're going to use something like this, it spins pretty fast. Be careful, don't spin it too fast, because instead of sanding the plastic, you'll just start melting it, and you don't want to do that. We're just trying to put a little groove in that so our adhesive will stick, and I'll show you that stuff in just a minute. All right, here's my glue. 4247 is 3M super fast repair. You got to move really quick with this stuff. Let's see if we can get it down fast enough. 'Cause, I mean, it goes fast. It's already starting. All right, this is up inside of the bumper. This is where the crack was. Just took a little bit of mesh, kind of a wire mesh. It's really strong. And we just kind of embedded it right into that glue that we wiped on there after prepping it with 80 grit sandpaper first. This all got prepped with 80 grit sandpaper. Then the glue went on, a nice thick layer of glue, and then the mesh kind of got embedded into it. And that should hold that pretty good, man. That glue is really strong. You can see where can you see that there where it oozed out of the crack? I mean, what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll knock that down later. I mean, look at that. It's only been on there for a couple minutes and it's already dry. We'll leave it on there for a little bit longer. I think what I'm going to do is go back and wipe another layer over the top of that again once that's set up really well and I can pull my clamps off. I want that to be really strong in there. I think that'll get it. All right, we're going for round 2 on the bumper repair. Let's just get a little bit of this out. This is a 2-part epoxy. Okay, that ought to get it. I'm gonna take my brush this time. I'll just mix it around like this. See if that'll work. Okay, let's get it over here. Oh yeah, look at that. That's gonna be so strong, dude. Wipe back and forth. Get as much of it as you can on there. And you gotta work quick, man. This stuff kicks really fast. As clean as those fenders are, this hood makes up for it. It's in pretty bad shape. The clear coat is peeling off of the whole thing, so we got to work it down completely, get all that old clear coat off. There's no way to paint over that. You can see here, see where it's just, I mean, look at that. It's just flaking off. The whole thing is this way, all the way around. So we got to get all that off. We can't leave that on there. It's not a big deal. We will get all this feathered out. You can see in certain areas here where that I've already feathered it off. I'm using 220 grit sandpaper on my DA. This is taking it down really fast, not even an issue. We'll get our rest of this work down, and then we'll go back and we'll smooth it up with some 320, and then it should be ready for some sealer, and then we'll be back on track to get paint going. So I went over the whole thing with 220, just on the areas where the clear coat, there was still clear coat and it was all peeling. If you look right here, you'll see it's all nice and smooth. We got all that old clear off that was left behind, and now we're just going to go back with 320 on the same DA and smooth this entire hood. All right, I've got a couple spots here. That's too deep. That's not going to sand out. So we roughed it up. Now we're just going to barely just kind of wipe over this really lightly. We got a couple more. Let's see, there was one right here. There was one right here. There's one back over here. Had some up here. Little tiny ones, nothing major. I think that's it. We'll let those set up, and we'll finish 320 and the rest of the hood. All right, so we got the hood cleaned up, got all that nasty clear off of it. Everything's nice and smooth. We're feathered back all those chips, filled in a couple of the deeper chips so you can't feel them anymore. Now I'm gonna go through with my Scotch-Brite and my water, kind of go around my edges and just get everything all cleaned up. So hey everybody, there you have it. Unfortunately we ran out of time. This video is getting way too long, and I'm not going to be able to paint it on this episode, so stay tuned to the next episode. I promise you guys we're going to get this thing painted once and for all. Don't forget about the 350Z build. I'll be getting back on that here real soon, and the Harley Davidson truck as well. We're going to do a complete paint job on that Harley truck, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram. I'll leave a link in the description, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot, man, and I will see you next time.